welcome to the You Haven't Seen That podcast. I'm Erin.
And I'm Josh.
So, Josh, why are we starting this podcast?
Well, we had a recent trip together, and I made some references to movies that you didn't get, and I was like, what, you haven't seen this movie? And we just decided to start a podcast because of that.
Yeah, it turns out I haven't seen most movies, like any of the movies. I'm consistently having people be surprised that I haven't seen stuff. So, like, for example, if it's a 90s movie other than Jurassic Park, I probably haven't seen it. I haven't seen, like, any of the Terminator movies. I haven't seen Mad Max. I haven't seen... there's several classics I haven't seen. There's a lot of action movies I haven't seen. Basically, the thing I tell people is, if it's a movie, just assume I haven't seen it. And it occurred to me, maybe that's a problem that I can solve. So I figured this would be a great opportunity to watch these movies and see whether or not they hold up. Josh, your background in movies is...
Background in my movies, it started in high school when we had video production class. I was in that for like 2.5 years. And just the experience, making little shorts and just watching movies just grew, and I eventually went to film school in Seattle for a year.
And so now you've got a really good handle on what the production looks like, directorial choices. Like, you've made your own movies, so you kind of have an idea of like the limitations as well as the capabilities.
Yeah, I've also had been an extra in a few movies based out of Seattle, so even if my movies weren't high quality production, I've been on a few decent quality productions, so knowing a little bit about that stuff is my experience. But I've watched tons of movies, as you know, and seen my collection.
Well, and listener, do not let him fool you. I've seen his movies. His movies are really good. They're not going out to award shows or anything, but I think they should. In any case, my background is significantly less glamorous. Josh told me that I should mention that I'm a storyteller. I've been writing since I was a little kid, but like I've never really done anything with that. Instead, all of my knowledge comes from working in tech, which is not really related to movies. That being said, I think that my job on this podcast is to be the idiot who doesn't know about movies. So that I can offer my unwashed opinions for Josh to refute and tell me why my opinions are wrong. So hopefully this will be a fun endeavor, and we'll see how it goes. Josh, what's the first movie that we watched?
The first movie we decided to watch is Aliens by James Cameron.
Heck yeah. And that reminds me, before the pod, we were thinking of like, oh no, which version did I watch? And I was like, I don't know, whatever's available on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm a big physical media collector, so I have a Blu-ray of Aliens, and that comes with two versions, the 1986 theatrical version and the 1991 special edition. I watched the theatrical version because I would assume that's probably the one you would be watching anyways. The 91 special edition, I don't think there's a whole bunch of extra scenes.
Terribly important.
Yeah, terribly important to like the story. I think it's just like added information that they thought that could help more character development, especially with Sigourney Weaver's character Ripley. But I mean, you could watch either one and still be fine with whichever.
What I'm seeing is that I'm watching the original release from 1986.
Yeah, probably.
Again, it's whatever was for rent on YouTube. Okay, cool. So then we have already established Aliens by James Cameron. Who was it written by, did you say, Josh?
James Cameron wrote this sequel, which is, based on characters from the previous movie, which that was Ridley Scott. Actually, Ridley Scott just directed the previous movie, but Dan O'Brien has the main credit, I think, to Alien. But James Cameron wrote the screenplay, and I think there's like 4 different people that help like with the story idea for Aliens. The biggest person that I want to shout out on here that worked on this is Walter Hill. Walter Hill directed The Warriors, and that might be a movie we'll have to talk about later on.
I'll add it to the list.
Yeah.
And the reason that we're watching Aliens instead of Alien is because I actually have seen Alien somewhat recently, like within the past 3 or 4 years. And I really loved it. I thought it was super good. controversial opinion. But because of that, we're jumping into the sequel for the pod as opposed to starting at the beginning. That being said, I was going to say, I don't think that I knew very much about it going in. Like, I had all the context of Alien, and everything I remembered about it was, like, the mech suit fight at the end. Because I think I saw that on TV when I was a kid.
Yeah, this is definitely a movie that was on TV a lot back then.
I missed it a lot as well, though. I thought that this was the one where she throws the basketball over her shoulder and Ron Perlman freaks out.
That's the fourth movie in the series. Yeah, Alien.
So I was sad about that.
Yeah, the Alien franchise is a very big franchise. Like, even this last year of 2025, it was the first Alien TV series, Alien Earth. And I think that's another reason why we picked Aliens, is because the franchise is
it's continuing to
expand. It's had a big hit, and there might be another franchise. Well, maybe at the end of this episode we'll kind of hint what the next episode will be.
Heck yeah.
The next movie.
Okay. From that angle, then maybe we just dive into what we thought about. Shall I go first?
Yeah, go ahead. I'd like to hear you first.
I thought it was really good. Gosh, where do I even want to start with this? Okay, I have one unhinged complaint, which I will save. But first up, like, the things that I noticed about it. Okay, the story is very, very simple. Ripley has come back from being attacked by the alien. It turns out there's, like, maybe aliens elsewhere, or same place. They say, can you help us with the alien? She goes to help them with the alien. She helps them with the alien, the end. It's, like, it's not that complicated. That being said, one of the things that I thought was really cool is that the movie does everything within its power to make everything very readable and clear. Like, the story is simple so that you don't get confused about what's going on. But the sets are they're very cluttered, they're very smoky, and they use that to such a great effect. Like, when you first get onto the colony, they've driven their little, like, cyber truck in there, and all the Marines climb out.
Yeah.
The set is, like, extremely cluttered, it's full of smoke, the light's really weird, but they do so much to help you as an audience member, like, follow what's going on. I noticed that the lighting is really beautifully directed so that it's pointing you in the correct direction. All of the leading lines with the camera follow, like, the basic principles. I mean, it's almost like James Cameron is a good and competent director.
Well, and that also helps with director's cinematography. Because really, I think this is what most people don't really understand about directors is directors really work with the actors mostly. And they really work with the actors to get the best performance out of them. So when it comes down to, like, the sets like you're talking about, they may not have a bunch of input. I mean, some of them might, depending on, like, the true vision of their movie. James Cameron might be one of those guys, as we see with the Avatar movies. Like, he's really spearheaded, like, special effects, as you can see in Aliens and from 1986. The special effects are pretty dang good for 1986.
I was going to say that was something I wanted to point out too. Is I think it's a combination of, like, models and matte paintings, right?
Yes,
beautiful.
There's a lot of that. To me, also looks like they use a little bit of the rear projector type style, which was used a lot. Like, if you look at the old King Kong movies, you got the giant King Kong background, and you got actors a little tiny. That's kind of the, they're playing around with a big projector, and they're projecting that on there, and they got the actors there so that they can connect to that before, having all the CGI that they have today.
That's cool.
So it looks like they also did a little bit of that, which also that kind of special effects really I kind of cherish, because they don't do that as much, because it is the CGI now today.
Yeah, it shocked me how beautiful it was. I mean, like, for example, Star Wars is about the same age, and Star Wars still very much holds up. People who know how to use a model are artists with a capital A, in my opinion. So, like, some of the creature effects on the alien, I guess she's technically the alien queen. When you finally get to, like, see her well lit, she does look a little stiff and janky. Yeah. But again, like, that's a very minor complaint. I think the bigger complaint is that every time they have to do, like, outdoor scenes on the planet, I'm like, did we, like, beam down to planet Star Trek? This looks like their classic, like, I don't know, like, plastered rocks type situation. But, like, for that to be the only effect that fails, I think is so good for like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, the idea was probably also to film it a little darker. That way, the effect of the creatures, the aliens, like that complaint, like you kind of it's kind of just janky movements and it doesn't look, when it's lit. Like that's an issue with creature effects a lot. Like the biggest famous one is the Jaws shark doesn't work in water. Well, you have a mechanical shark. You're putting this thing in water, it's not going to work. But, so they have to find other ways to film it. And so, and that's the thing for this movie, like, filming in dark, you're not going to see the crummy movements that this thing has, or it's either a puppet. And, like, the creature effects is actually done by a pretty famous creature effect, Stan Winston. He has done tons of effects for movies, like Jurassic Park you talked about, Terminator.
Oh my God, did he
movies.
Do the dinosaurs?
He's done those. Yeah, he's worked on tons of those.
Yeah, and again, like I think, like I said, the biggest complaint I had was when she's being fully lit in the final scenes.
Yeah,
because
final battle scene.
Exactly. Like I think it's very smart of them to use the darkness as a way to both like increase the tension and to also like hide the limitations of the effects themselves. It's such a smart and economical move. But what I was trying to say is that like the sets are so cluttered and everything's dark, everything's wet, everything's dripping, and so there's a lot of like visual noise happening in order to like give you that sense of atmosphere, but you never feel lost. They work really hard to make sure that you have like not just like dialogue to help you, but like a lot of background elements. So like the movie is like obsessed with numbers in a way that I love. They're like every time that you are dealing with multiple floors that isn't going to turn out to be a jump scare, they make sure to like label the floors in big numbers. When Ripley's like shooting the alien queen at the end, like they've pointed out, this is the dial that shows how many bullets she has left. And they cut back to it multiple times to say like, look, she's running down on her bullets. She's going to run out pretty soon. They have the countdown timer. They have the countdown timer to let you know like when the building's going to explode. All of those little things to like add clarity I thought were so good. Oh, the sound design. Oh my God. I love how quiet the movie is. Apparently it was an accident. The sound guy, the music man, I don't know the word for it. He apparently ran out of time to make a score, which is crazy because I thought that the silence worked so well. I thought it was completely intentional. Because the score so rarely cuts in, and most of the time it's so quiet. And so you can hear every little background thing. And the way that, like, when Ripley and Newt go into that, like, little medical bay to go to sleep or whatever, you can hear a different room tone between when the door is open and when it's closed. The sound design and the Foley was so crunchy and good to me. I don't know. I loved it.
Yeah. The one sound that, when I was watching it, that really kind of just... Because like you said, when it went silent, when Ripley gets Newt and they're trying to escape I think it's like their air purifier factory, but the alien queen has everything. And it goes quiet, but then you hear that kind of like breathing of the alien queen. And then just the way that they filmed it where they kind of did a slow edit of them turning around. And then, boom, you see the queen just sitting there just breathing so heavily. I imagined seeing this in theaters in 1986, like, how terrifying that was.
Oh, my God. I got a similar vibe towards the end when they're, like, flying away from the planet. And they do that, like, POV shot out the front. I was like, holy shit, this movie must have, like, ripped in theaters. Because it's so beautiful. And to... see it that big would have been amazing. I think the one extremely silly complaint that I have is that the movie isn't gooey enough. It's very wet, but it's not gooey.
What is gooey? Explain to me what you mean by gooey.
So, like, Alien is super gooey. It's one of the things that makes it, like, so creepy and unpleasant. It's not just that, like, every surface is constantly wet. It's that every time you touch something, like a big old slime trail, like a cheese pull of slime comes off of every surface. And it's like super like viscous and disgusting. And they like, I think they must have gotten a different goo guy for this movie because it's wet, And it does have like a little bit of like a cheese pull of slime. But more often, it looks like what they're using is basically like strings of hot glue that have already dried. And so it's like, it's goo adjacent without actually being goo. And I miss the grossness.
Miss the grossness. All right, my thoughts on your goo theory is it's because of the tone shift of both movies. The first movie, it's the horror house in space because you got the one alien and it's got your goo as you like
lovingly
to refer to.
Call it. I love
and
it.
It's that movie. It's more of a horror movie in space. It's alien going there and taking out the crew members one by one. There's actually can't recall if there's any chest bursting in Aliens.
There's the one at the very beginning that's her nightmare.
Yeah, but
And
it's
then-
just a nightmare though.
And then when they have Bishop
that doesn't
ripped
even
apart.
Yeah, but
that was disgusting.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That's your goo there, but no,
that
there's
was
no,
the best goo in the movie.
Yeah, there's no chest bursting at all in Aliens compared to I think all the other films in this franchise. Even the TV show has chest bursting, I believe. But yeah, I think the gore definitely is out of Aliens because I'm looking at the DVD cover and its tagline says, "This time it's war." It's very more action film this time.
And like I get it, but would it have killed them to just give me a little more proper goo?
Yeah.
The goo made the first movie so texturally unpleasant.
James Cameron ran out of that budget.
He ran out of his goo budget.
He had to introduce us to the Marines in this.
There you go. He needed the money for the flamethrowers.
Yeah.
Which admittedly was very cool. Yeah. Also, I was purposely watching to see, like, whether or not, like, who was going to be killed first. And I was indeed disappointed to find out that one of our girls and both of our black characters got killed basically right away. So that was quite disappointing.
Yeah.
But in exchange, we got Vasquez for the whole movie. I was so sad. Mm-hmm. But, like, she went out like such a boss. God, this is a Vasquez appreciation post. Yeah. I love her so much.
What do you think about the characters in this movie?
Okay, I love Ripley, obviously. But with, like... Okay, I love Ripley, I love Vasquez. They should run away together. Outside of that, I was a little bit befuddled. Okay, Bishop, cool. Paul Reiser's character.
Burke.
This isn't necessarily a character note. As a character, he's a slimy, shitty dude. This is an acting note. I thought Paul Reiser hit such an interesting place where at the beginning of the movie, he's being thoughtful, he's being kind, he's being helpful, he's trying to be respectful, and you still, despite like all of his outward actions, you still get this like uneasy, slightly sleazy feeling to him, so that like when he finally betrays them, it doesn't like come out of nowhere. I would love to know what exactly he did to hit that exact note, because I don't think it's spicy to say that like sexual assault is like a theme in all of these movies. That's kind of like what the aliens do. But like having him be like the guy who comes the closest to just like doing that to them in terms of like turning them over to this malevolent force that will do that to them, betraying them in that way, having like him, this nerdy, nice, I'm just one of the good guys, little, like, nice guy piece of shit, be the one to betray them, instead of, like, one of the big alpha manly ones, I thought was such an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I was absolutely befuddled by every other character. Why do we have Newt? Is it because we want to replace the cat? Does she need a character to save? I don't understand. Why are we trying to do this romance thing with the Marine? I don't need that. So, I don't know. Like, maybe this is me just wanting Ripley to be, like, an action badass until the end of time and have her and Vasquez run away into the sunset.
Well, unfortunately, Vasquez is not going to do that. She met her demise as a hero.
Listen, I can dream. The only thing I can think of is that Newt serves a function narratively in that once she gets taken by the aliens, after she gets sent into, like, the sewers or whatever, and she gets captured by the aliens, it's an excuse for them to turn around and go back in and do, like, the big action hero whatever. But outside of that, no shade on the actress. I thought she did a perfectly good job. Her and Ripley's relationship was cute, I guess. Mm-hmm. But it felt very shoehorned in. And almost like, oh, we can't care about, like, this adult woman and her PTSD, so we have to make her into a mom. It felt weird to me. I don't know. Okay. What do you think?
So this might be part of the special edition part that comes in with a little bit more knowledge, because I'm trying to remember if the theatrical one at all talks about Ripley's daughter. So Ripley's daughter was from the first movie. I don't recall her ever talking about her daughter in the first movie. It's been a little while since I've seen that one. But this one, you know, she's been in the cryo sleep for like 57 years. Obviously, her daughter would have... She lost time with her young daughter. And I think, to spoil it, I guess, I mean, for you,
please.
but for everybody else, they've probably all seen it. I think Burke tells her in the special edition that your daughter passed away. Oh. So now, Ripley is seeing that she lost her daughter. This young girl has lost her family. That's the connection. Okay. To be a mother again to a child that has gone through... Lost everything. And so that's what some people will lose from not seeing the special edition. It's just a little bit of extra information, but... And that's kind of like where I've always kind of seen it, was like Ripley's lost a lot, and now she's just, you know, and this is innocent child that they're like, all right, we gotta get this.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, okay, if I was Ripley, we'll pretend that the movie is nonfiction. I'm Ripley, and I find like a tiny child on this or on this space station or colony or fucking whatever, and there's aliens everywhere. Like, obviously, I'm gonna save that kid. But as a piece of fiction, I'm like, what is the purpose of this child? And I can't quite figure it out. Because, like, even your explanation just now of, like, oh, in the special edition, she has a kid that she lost. That just sounds to me like your dog dies and your parents are like, we'll get you a new dog. And you're like, I don't want a new dog. And then they get you a new dog and you're like, I love the new dog. And, like, I don't know, like, don't miss your dead daughter. She can be replaced with this new daughter. Yeah. I almost like that even less.
Yeah. That's just writing from James Cameron.
That's fair. It's okay.
What did you think of Bill Paxton being Hudson?
Game over, man!
Yeah. I
had no idea that was from this movie.
Yeah.
But, like, his performance is so iconic that, like, the minute he opened his mouth, I was like, it's this guy! Yeah. That was very funny to me.
Yeah. And he's been in another James Cameron movie.
Which one?
Terminator.
He was in Terminator?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So,
still haven't seen Terminator.
So if that's another movie we watch...
Yeah, I think it probably needs to be.
There's a funny thing online about Bill Paxton's the only actor to be killed by an alien, a Terminator, and a Predator.
Wow.
Because he's in all three of those franchises.
Is he like the Sean Bean of James Cameron movies?
Well, James Cameron didn't do Predator, but yeah, close enough.
That's like quite a dubious distinction.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty funny role for him to play.
Yeah.
To me, all the actors did fine with all their roles for the characters. It is funny to me that you get to spend this time with these macho Marines, and they're like, yeah, they're the best. They could do everything. They're so good, and then they go in there and they are quickly taken out by aliens. They have all this high-tech weapons and everything, and just boom, they're gone. And it comes down to just like, I think like 5 of them left when there's like 15.
When they get started, yeah. Actually, that was one of my favorite things, is like when Ripley first gets into, like, what's the mech suit called again?
It's like a loader. I'm sure it has some kind of actual special name, but it's just a loader that they use for cargo stuff.
As soon as she got into that thing, I was like, oh my god. This is the only action movie where, like, the action hero's main capability is that they're forklift certified.
Yeah. Oh, and also, like, I think when she gets in the first time, you kind of sit there and think, she's probably going to get in this again later in the movie and use it.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a...
There were a couple things as well where, like, I wrote, one of my notes is Chekhov's goo, because, like, there's some part or other where, like, you see the goo pop up someplace and you're like, the alien! I wish I remembered what it was. I literally just wrote Chekhov's goo, which is not very helpful. And then later I wrote in all caps, no, Vasquez! And then later, Vasquez and Gorman! Crying face. Alien on ship, ? Exact next bullet, no, alien on ship!
Yeah, I always tried to look out and see, like, how did this alien queen get on that ship? I guess we just have to believe that she was quick enough to get on that ship before all those explosions and the really big one. But
Honestly, the part where, like, the alien's getting, like, sucked out of the airlock and stuff, I have to admit, like, Ripley had exactly one moment where I was like, what are you doing? You're so stupid. Because she's standing there right next to the control panel to close the airlock, and she doesn't close it. She climbs all the way up the ladder to close the airlock. I'm like, girl.
I was thinking that, too. I guess in that ship, that lever to open it doesn't close it.
That seems really
So you
dumb.
gotta climb up and push a couple buttons, but...
I don't think that's OSHA certified, but I guess the company is probably not caring about their OSHA violations.
Yeah. So...
And actually that part where she's like banging on the elevator buttons, I thought of that line from Spaceballs. Even in the future, nothing works.
Yeah. Well, and there's actually also the most famous quote.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Yeah.
I was waiting for that one. I was waiting for it so hard.
Yeah. And I think it was 2024 when Alien Romulus, Romulus came out. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of callbacks to the previous Alien movies, and that's a good movie too. Mm-hmm. But they do use that quote, and it's kind of I think it's kind of silly, and a lot of people that I've talked to, it's kind of mixed for some Alien fans that I've met. Or they either like the movie or they're like, it's too much of a callback. I just want to watch the original films. But I mean, to me, it's still a good movie. Maybe that's another one we'll watch for fun.
There you
Not
go.
necessarily do a podcast
for the pod.
But
I have to admit, okay, this is an extremely dorky thing to think about, but like, I wonder if that line allows the movie to pass the Bechdel test, because Ripley, a named female character, is talking to the Queen, another named female character, not about a man. Mm. Although I think that she and Newt technically already make it past the Bechdel test, just talking about stuff and shit. But still, I had that little thought, and it seems so silly to me I had to comment on it. I don't know, maybe I'll cut that part out. Let's see. Anything else that we wanted to cover?
I think that's it. I mean, I have always enjoyed this movie. It's definitely...
I can see why it's a classic.
And it's, I think, definitely considered as one of the best sequels ever made.
Oh, yeah.
One of James Cameron's best films. I mean...
Very solid action movie.
It's great action. It's got great set designs. One thing I wanted to ask you is... Yeah. Do you think somebody who's not seen the first movie can just jump in to watch this movie and not be lost?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think so too. So.
Yeah, that's part of what makes it such a perfect sequel, actually, is the fact that you don't need the first movie. Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah,
you could probably watch this one and be like, oh, this is the second one? I didn't know that. Let me go back and watch the first one.
There you go.
And then there you go. And then you can watch the others if you want.
I really feel, again, I genuinely was kind of surprised and, I don't know, like, blown away by, again, the clarity of everything. For as noisy as it gets, you never feel lost. And I even had, like, one moment of, like, feeling slightly lost, where I was like, wait a minute, why is everything exploding? And then, like, something else, like, came up again, like, in the environment or something else, where I was like, oh yeah, it's because of this thing. They never let you feel lost. I genuinely feel like it's the kind of movie that you could study in order to, like, figure out how to put together a competent action movie. It's so beautifully put together. I was really shocked.
James Cameron's storytelling is pretty top notch. I mean, he has a same kind of, like, all his movies, you can kind of see similarities to everything that he's written in the past. You know, he's got strong female leads. He's got some side characters that are got some comic relief with them a little bit. His movies tend to do a long running time, so he packs in a lot of stuff.
Just technically competent in a lot of cases. I think the only other James Cameron movie that I've ever seen is probably Titanic. Mm-hmm. And Titanic, again, beautifully, competently done movie. You can't complain about it. Even if you're the kind of person who wants to hate on Titanic, you cannot deny that the movie is beautiful.
I'll even say that's a very good movie.
It is.
One of my favorites. If it's on TV, I'll probably stop and watch that movie.
I think it's one of those things where, like, I would think to myself, oh, I'm not going to stop and watch Titanic, but I'll just watch this one scene, and then this one scene will turn into, like, the rest of the movie.
As we wrap up, what do you want to rate this movie? How do you like to rate movies?
Gosh.
Like, do you like to do 5 stars, 1 out of 10 type ones?
I'm gonna give this
2 thumbs up, as Siskel and Ebert used to do.
I'm gonna give it 5 stars, but only 2 gallons of goo out of 5.
2 gallons of goo.
It needed more goo.
Um,
How about you, Josh?
the way I kind of rate movies is how like watchable they are, and if you
Ooh,
can,
hell yeah.
and if it's a movie that you can watch more than 3 times, which I've watched this movie more than 3 times, and this is definitely a very watchable movie.
All right, well, what's the next movie we're going to do?
The next movie, I think we're gonna stick in the era of the 80s and alien movies. I think we are going to be doing Predator.
Predator. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks everybody for listening to episode 1 of You Haven't Seen That. This has been Erin.
And this is Josh.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.